doctors specialising in type 1 diabetes say they're increasingly concerned.
We've seen an increased amount of activity within our crisis services.
But we now know more people are suffering than ever before, especially...
According to a recent survey, 24% of deaths among ages 15 to 24-year-olds have been due to suicide. If you know someone who feels like they are at risk, or feel at risk yourself, dial 116 123 to speak with Samaritans. With the world changing rapidly, do you feel overwhelmed, anxious or scared? COVID-19 has played a crucial role with causing catastrophic statistics. Do you feel like life is worth living? Contact Samaritans. They are here to help.
Are you confident, Grace?
Yeah.
Sure.
Aye.
Lovely stuff.
I'm Grace Westwood, and social media impacted me in the way that I never thought it would.
I'm Matty Hugill, and I was suicidal for 3 years.
My name is Cheryl Bagnall. I am Tutorial Learning Mentor here at Barnsley College, specifically within the Digital and Creative Industries department. My job typically consists of the protection of mental and physical well-being of students here at Barnsley College, and to assist in any problems they may have or barriers that they may have in regards to their learning. Do I believe that social media has a negative impact? Possibly. I think there is definitely an incline since social media came into the mainstream, especially within education. That we have issues such as revenge porn, we have issues such as online bullying, which is often faceless. This can always cause issues for somebody's mental health, especially if they've got no escape from it. Social media can be useful in also promoting good, positive mental health and well-being. But in general, if it is used irresponsibly, then I'd say it can have a massive negative impact.
To me, social media has impacted me mentally and physically in numerous different ways. Physically, you know, there's all these different social media platforms where you can use like the communication systems that they've got, like the FaceTimes, the phone calls. So obviously you're not seeing people face to face and going out in public. But then mentally it's like, when you post something on social media, you can never go back from that, and people see it. Like, people can take videos, like screenshots of what you've posted. You know, it could go anywhere. So once you post something, there's no, like I said, there's no going back. And, you know, people can message you about it and basically just bully you, and that can impact your mental state, and it did for me. I posted, like, if I posted a picture, I'd get messages from people like, why have you done this? And like, they just make mean comments all the time. And I just wanted to stay inside. I didn't want to go out because I felt like people were going to be judging me all the time. And that stuck with me for as long as I can remember.
There's a lot of times when I just go on social media and I'm having a look around because I want to find out what the latest football news is. And then it'll pop up on my timeline that someone has posted their self-harm scars and that they're actually cutting themselves with a blade, and it's like, it really damages my mental state. And when my mental state's damaged, I don't want to do anything at all. I just want to stay in my bedroom, shut the world away, not talk to anyone. So in which case that interlinks to my physical state, because I don't want to go out for a run, I don't want to go to the gym, all that kind of stuff really. And so it kind of just interlinks between the two, and yeah, both have had a real damage to me in the past.
Do people notice you're absent from the world, as in, do they notice that you're not as social as you used to be? And how does that make you feel?
A lot of the times people do notice that, yeah. It's like I'm acting different to how I might do, and they can sort of see that. And it kind of makes me feel happy in some way that they can see that, so that they're trying to help me, but in other ways, I also don't want to say what the issue is at the time. So, like, I'm kind of on the fence with that one.
Can't really describe it. You just like isolate yourself from the world. You want to stay in bed all day because that's where you feel protected. That's where you feel you're not going to get hurt by people, and you don't want to go out anymore. You just want to stay in like the dark and just cry all the time, and because you just feel down, and there's no other worse feeling about it. It's horrible. You just feel everyone's judging you. All your actions are being judged. There's nothing worse.
When I felt mentally unwell, I couldn't really do anything. I just wanted to stay in my bedroom, shut the world away, not talk to anyone at all. Just all that kind of stuff, really. It's just very difficult for me when I feel like that, because again, I just feel so depressed and like I'm a huge burden to everybody. And when I feel like that, it's one of the hardest things in the world, honestly.
I absolutely believe that people should seek help with regards to their mental health and well-being as soon as possible, because the sooner people recognise it and are able to understand that there's an issue, the faster and quicker they can receive assistance. But then also as well, it will enable people to not cascade into a worsening state of mental health, which may cause further issues in the future.
I can't say in the past that I did seek professional help for all these issues, but unfortunately these issues have carried on, and I'm now at college, but I am seeking professional help. I'm seeing someone every week, just having a one-to-one and talking about what's happened and if there's anything that they can do. And fortunately they are sorting some counselling out. I'm currently on the waiting list, but if things keep carrying on, I don't know how it's going to work out, because if the things are just going to get worse and worse as time goes on.
There was a lot of people who have helped me throughout all these dark periods, you know. My family, they've been brilliant throughout every time I've been feeling as down as I have done. And my mum especially, she notices every single time when I don't feel well, and she's always there. She always offers her support. My dad does the same, as well as my brother. But as well as family, I'd say my best friend as well. She's helped me through almost everything, and if it wasn't for her, I'm not even sure I'd be here today, to be honest with you. But I've never really got to the point where I've sought professional help, because I don't feel like I can bring myself to do it. I can't say I haven't thought about seeking professional help, but like, I can never really bring myself to do it at all, so I can't say I've done that, no.
There isn't really a part of social media, like a single part that's impacted you. It's everything. There's the posts, there's the messages that can be deleted, there's the phone calls, there isn't one singular part.
A lot of the times when I see all these people, like, I see all these men just looking as they do, and it kind of makes me feel really insecure about myself. It makes me feel like, will I ever look like that? Will I ever be as good as that? And that kind of comes from a physical side, and then that's going to impact my mental psyche as well, because you know, it makes you question yourself. It makes you really wonder, like, are you really good enough with the way you look at the minute?
What advice would I give to somebody who has thoughts of taking their own life but has previously had self-harmed in the past? Obviously, I'm hoping they would be talking to somebody already. If they're talking to somebody already, that's going to eliminate the feelings of hopefully taking their own lives. However, the advice that I would give them if somebody came to me and said that would be that they contacted their GP, I'd also give them information such as Mind, which is online. I would give them the telephone number for the Samaritans, which is very, very useful. I would also be able to refer them to our health and wellbeing service here at Barnsley College, where we have access to IAPT and a counsellor.
I didn't really have any suicidal experiences, but unfortunately I did want to die at some point. I just thought there was no escape from how I was feeling, how I felt like just everyone was judging me, everyone hated me, and I just didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. That was that hope that I would get help.
I've been suicidal thought free for about 4 months now, but in the past there has been times where I've just laid in my room, I've just thought dark thoughts in my head, and like I've just felt like I'm a huge burden to absolutely everybody in the world, my family, my friends, absolutely everybody. And I just feel like, is life really worth living anymore? Because it kind of gets you down when you feel like that. However, since about December really, I've kind of had a new outlook on that, hence why I've been suicidal thought free, because I've come to realise that no matter how down I feel or anything like that, there are people who care. I've got a really good set of friends, I've got a really caring and loving family around me, and all of that it's really helped me so much.
When you say you wanted to kill yourself, did you genuinely want to kill yourself, or did you just want the pain to stop?
I think it was just a case I just wanted the pain to stop, because back in around October, end of October, start of November time, I was at my lowest mentally. I mean, that was when we went into lockdown due to this COVID-19 pandemic. And, you know, it just made me feel mentally unwell, but like lower than I've ever been before. And it was then when I was really at my peak of suicidal thoughts, because I was feeling pain almost every day. I never wanted to wake up. I was going to bed at stupid o'clock, just listening to sad music, thinking sad thoughts, and then I wouldn't wake up the next day till about 2 p.m. because it was just a case of I just wanted to sleep as long as I could, so I could delay the pain really and just not feel it. But it never really helped, because every time I woke up, it'd just be the same thing day after day after day, really. And it just all got too much. But like I say, I have been dragged out at that point now.
The thing with self-harm is that it can come in many formats. There's multiple ways. You know, it's not the simple, you know, cutting yourself. There's multiple ways. Like, for me, there was the picking at the scars, because I don't know why I did it. It was like, once it released the negativity. I thought it would release the negativity, but now the scars on my arms are never going to go away, and I sometimes feel like, why have I done that? And it makes things worse, and I feel embarrassed when wearing shorts or a short sleeve top that people are just going to see the scars and judge me all the time. And I've realised that, you know, sometimes it still happens, but there's nothing I can do about it. I feel horrible about doing it, but for me it's a way of releasing, having that bit of a release, even though I know I shouldn't do it.
I'd be lying if I said I haven't thought about it at all, because I just felt like, when I feel like I'm a burden to everybody, I just feel like, you know, I kind of deserve pain. Like, I kind of deserve the way I feel. Like, is this the world trying to tell me something? And so, you know, I've obviously thought about just self-harming, but I can never really bring myself to do it. I feel a lot of mental pain, but I just can't bring myself to bring physical pain upon myself. It's hard enough feeling pain mentally, and I feel that a lot of the time. So with self-harming. I've managed to drag myself out of it, no matter how hard it's got, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty proud of myself for that one.
So my name is Emily. I'm a student at Leeds Arts University doing visual communication, and I'm also a marketing manager for munchterm.co.uk.
And what do you aspire to become in the future?
So I ran my own business for a while and loved it. I'd love to be a business owner again in the future, but my long-term progression at the minute is to progress with the business that I'm working for, which is a small start-up, and get my degree and then hopefully become the creative director of that business or move on to bigger and better jobs. But the end game is become a creative director. I think that taking a break from social media is definitely important for everybody. I'm currently taking a bit of a social media break. I don't talk as much to friends and family as I used to do online. I find that especially now COVID regulations are opening up, it's important to see people in person and actually experience life again. But I suppose in the pandemic, it was incredibly important to take a break from social media because there's so many people who lie about their lives, not in a bad way, but you only post what you want people to see, I suppose. So it's important to focus on yourself and your own track rather than anybody else's.
I can't really say there's any methods for clearing your mind really for your mental and physical state. Social media, if you just take a break from that, it doesn't mean if you take a break that things are going to stop. So that it doesn't really work for me if I take a break. But there's no other coping mechanisms. Yes, there were people around me that were like, oh yeah, you can talk to me, but it's more to do with the fact that you don't want to reach out to them and I didn't want to reach out to them. And there's like the panic attacks that happen as well, like that happen frequently. There's no coping mechanisms for them. They've always been a thing. There's no real way in trying to prevent them from happening. It just happens.
I'd go on the Xbox with my friends at times. I'd play FIFA. I'd play Football Manager on myself. Just go out with friends, go for a drink down the pub somewhere or something like that. Just even spend time with my dogs or my family. Really, I just had so many things to try and help me cope with how I was feeling. Sometimes it didn't work, but a lot of the times it was a huge help for me.
My mental and physical state did cause a downfall in my education. When I went to school, there were always people making comments. I could hear them making comments behind me about if I'd posted something on social media, and that's what I felt run down. And throughout the days, I'd be thinking about them comments, so I wouldn't be concentrating in lessons. Sometimes teachers wouldn't even notice, they'd just ignore that I wasn't doing well. It was horrible because still in the classes, the teachers would still hear these comments, but they don't really understand how it can impact your education.
My education went on a huge downfall. A lot of the times it was because my mental state was just wasn't there. I wasn't right in the head, and that caused me to want to just not do anything, which obviously made me fall behind on work. And obviously you've got to factor COVID into this as well. I mean, when I was actually in Barnsley College, I was planning to do an FEP I was doing a podcast on Yorkshire football, and I was really looking forward to doing that. But because COVID became a thing, I couldn't do that, and that kind of impacted my mental state. And then obviously it was impacted because I couldn't leave the house either, and that caused me to just not want to do anything. I thought, my life's just being put on hold here, so what's the point really? So I just never really did anything at all, and I fell behind on a bit of work, and that kind of impacted my physical state as well, because again, it just made me not want to do absolutely anything. But again, I've come out of that scenario now, but it is a dark path to go down.
Did your family or tutors ever notice this sudden drop in quality of work?
I can't say my tutors did, no. Like, a lot of the times, it was because I was doing my FEP, but I was told I didn't have to do it, so I never really did it. But they kind of set us tasks as well, and I never really did them tasks, and that was, again, that was because I didn't really want to do anything at all. I just wanted to kind of stay in bed, just listen to music, talk to friends, and so I just didn't do any work in any way, shape or form.
I definitely was impacted in my business during COVID-19. I started off freelancing throughout the most of COVID-19 and running my own graphic design business before I started where I am now. And in the first lockdown, I lost every client that I had. I lost all my social media management clients. I lost all my graphic design clients because nobody could afford that service at the minute. It wasn't particularly an essential thing for businesses to be thinking about. So it affected my business a lot. Now things have picked back up. Obviously I've changed job roles very recently. And COVID has actually helped our new business because it is purely online, and it did get set up last year in August 2020. So we was prepared for the pandemic when it hit, and it is purely all online. Sales tend to come through when people are sat at home bored, whereas if they're out doing things, you tend to lose sales. So I've had positives and negatives in both ways. I've been affected in my university studies a hell of a lot during the pandemic. So I'm a practical course. I study visual communication, which is a 90% based practical course. And we use studio space constantly, we use workshops constantly, we're in and out, and during the pandemic we couldn't do any of that, so the course got moved fully online during the beginning of the January lockdown. We had no in-class time, no in-uni time, you couldn't go in at all, so all the work was carried out online, which meant that you had to improvise with your projects due to not having the same materials, and it was a really difficult time, I think. I did a few group projects which were incredibly hard to do, working with people in different time zones, working with people with different schedules, all on Zoom, doing something without a tutor's input who can't just stand over your shoulder and have a look. But in a positive way, I suppose it's given me more routine, more time to sit and work at all hours of the day. When I used to go into university, I'd go in, and then once I got back, that would be it. That would be the end of my day. I wouldn't carry on or work at home. Whereas now I'm working at home all day long. I tend to work for longer. I tend to work harder, and spend more time doing work a day rather than what I usually would be doing. So it's definitely a positive aspect that I've given myself more motivation.
My mental well-being definitely did impact my physical health. I wanted to stay inside all the time. I wanted to stay in bed because that was the only place I felt safe. And because of that, I weren't going out socialising with other people. I weren't getting that bit of fresh air that would probably make me feel better, like I could clear my mind.
It's like I've said before, really. I just didn't really want to do anything when I was feeling mentally unwell. I just wanted to shut the world away, forget that anyone else ever existed, and just really cry to myself, I suppose. And sometimes I'd do this when I was supposed to be going to the gym with my brother and my dad, and so obviously that had a big effect on my physical state, and it kind of caused me to feel insecure about myself physically because I'd missed gym sessions. And then obviously it kind of links back as well, because my physical state caused me to feel mentally unwell, because due to the fact that I was missing gym sessions, I wasn't happy at all with the way I looked. I was very, very insecure, and feeling insecure about myself, about the way I looked, about my physical state, it really made me feel mentally unwell as well, because it just made me think, am I ever going to be good enough for anyone, my family, my friends, anything like that? And it just kind of sent me down a dark path, really.
I suffer with mental health issues quite severely. I have done for quite a few years, and I'm on a controlled substance to help me out with that. But obviously everyone still has dips and ups and downs. It's been especially hard for students this year. All my flatmates and me have really struggled with mental health issues. And it's been even harder to get help during this time through your GP, through that adult mental health services. The wait list is so long now and everything is online that I haven't had a proper session face-to-face with my GP for months now. So it has been difficult not to have that face-to-face interaction and to be doing your therapy sessions and asking for help over a phone is quite hard when people can't actually see how your body language is and how you're actually feeling. What you say and what you do is two completely different things. And at the minute, people aren't seeing what you're doing, they're just hearing what you say. It's been incredibly hard on students being locked up in student accommodations. Like this year, pretty much all the students who aren't on practical courses have been stopped inside and made to stay in their flats, not being able to mix with flats. We've not had any social interaction. If people have been coming in, I know quite a lot of students have broke lockdown just to be able to have friends round and be able to enjoy themselves, feel less lonely, but campus security is all over that completely all the time, shutting down friendship gatherings and things which obviously if they're breaching COVID, then yeah, but students need a life. Students need to enjoy themselves. There was a big uproar when it snowed in January. There was a lot of students having a snowball fight up at Hyde Park, and the two students actually got fined £10,000 because they organised this snowball fight on Facebook and they didn't realise how many people was going to turn up. It was university versus university. Two students got fined £10,000 and there was a big uproar about it. Students saying, come on, we're outside, we've been locked up all over Christmas, we've not been able to see friends, some people haven't seen family. I know me personally, I stayed here over Christmas. And it's just hard, give students a break. I think they need that break now and time to enjoy themselves, especially over summer. So it's a good thing that the restrictions are easing for students' sakes, really.
Some of the advice I'd give to people who are struggling is to go speak to someone about how you're feeling. Yes, you might not be feeling well at all, but there's no point in you not reaching out for help you need to reach out because there's people that are willing to help you. It might not feel like it, but just speak to someone at school, speak to a teacher, speak to a friend who you can trust, speak to your parents.
Talk to your friends. Talk to your family, talk to Samaritans or any other mental health charities that are out there. Just talk, no matter what it is, no matter how pathetic you think it might be, the way that you feel. Just talk to somebody. It could even be a complete stranger, but never, ever, ever bottle up the way you feel, because about this time last year, I made that same mistake, and that caused me to go down a really dark path. And I don't want anyone to ever have to go through that. So I encourage you, just talk to absolutely anyone.
The whole awareness thing on social media needs to be raised. People don't realise how often it happens. It happens in so many different ways. And there is so many suicides that link to social media. And if something doesn't happen, if something isn't in place, then things are only going to keep getting worse. And people are going to keep feeling down and just not feeling themselves, feeling depressed. And that's what can cause these suicidal thoughts. So if social media is having an impact on this, then something needs to be put in place.
What do you propose to be put in place for that to happen?
It's for this to for this to take place, maybe, I don't know, it's a bit of a hard question, but it's more to do with the coding and things behind it. It's more if something is put in place, if someone posts something or if they put a comment on a post, then, and it's not, well, in a way, good, it's not nice, then they should get in trouble. It sounds daft, but these small things can definitely help. If these things are put in place, then yeah.
A lot of people tend to feel mentally unwell these days, especially due to how how COVID has impacted our lives. It's put our lives on hold, and you know, people will feel like, what's the point of life? So for all these social media pages to just raise awareness for social media, I think it's a really good idea. You know, it can encourage people to speak out. Even people posting their social media experiences, their mental health experiences on social media, that can inspire a lot of people, and that can make people want to talk out a bit more. So I believe that social media is huge, because it's obviously a big platform too. So it's massive for trying to help people to talk out about their mental health experiences.